If you've ever wanted to catch tarpon or fish for tarpon, now is the time to do it. There's just so many tarpon in the water right now that pretty much anybody can get hooked up onto these fish. Now, bringing the fish to your boat or to the bridge or the pier or from the surf, that's a different story. But pretty much anybody can probably get hooked up onto these fish. Simply because there's just so many tarpon in the water now. I mean, I'm talking like pods of 100 tarpon. And they're stacked up along the bridges, the piers, the channels, and of course right here in the Key West Harbor. Now the bridge and the pier, you probably want to go with like the shrimp or the crabs, because those tarpon, they're ambushing baits that can't really swim, and that are being dominated in the current flow. If you're running a bait that's swimming against the current, it's probably not going to work out for you, because they're just looking for an easy meal. They don't want to be chasing something around. But out here in the harbor, you can pretty much get away with any kind of live bait. And I'm running mullet, but you can use pinfish, you can use shrimp, you can use crab, and just because you're running a small little pinfish, that doesn't mean you can't catch a 100-pound tarpon. Because a 100-pound tarpon will eat a small little pinfish that fits in the palm of your hand. Are your chances increased by running a bigger bait? Of course. But I've had some monster tarpon spool me on just running a pinfish last year. And this one just did a little run and then he spit it out.
Shit! Spit that son of a bitch out.
And this was kind of like a freak incident, because this is not their feeding window quite yet. This was just a really hungry tarpon, I guess. But they do have a feeding window, and there's hundreds of tarpon around, and none of them are biting, but that's normal. You have to wait for that feeding window. It could be, you could be waiting for hours. You don't know exactly when they're all going to decide to eat. And this is my mad power casting skills right here, man. I'm going to put that whole spool in the water, and that fish is going to make its way all the way to Cuba if I let it. And things are going to start to heat up here in a second. And right up here, there's just like this huge pod. I'm talking like 100 tarpon. And it's not like winter tarpon out there in the flats, where they're very skittish. When it's this time of year, and there's so many tarpon in here in the Key West Harbor, you can just roll your boat right up in there. Just roll it right up into that pod. You don't even have to cast. Last year I was making a big mistake by trying to cast these fish. Look in the distance there. You can see those little white flashes. Those are not white caps in the waves. There are no waves. That's tarpon. Tarpon rolling. All those little white flashes in the water. And I'm going to just paddle right up into that pod. And they're going to be right up along the side of my boat. Literally a paddle's reach away from my boat. And I'm going to get hooked up onto these things. They're used to that boat traffic. You got cruise ships coming through here. You got the charter boat captains coming through here. You got the commercial fishermen coming through here. Recreational boats, party boats. Every kind of boat comes through this freaking channel, and they're used to that traffic. They're not scared of it. So you just roll right up in there, man. You don't need to be casting shit. And you're going to get hooked up. I figured that out last year at the end of the tarpon season. I'm over here throwing my baits around over and over again, killing them off early. Look at that. That's almost a paddle reach away. And the pods to the left of me now, I'm going to get hooked up right here. And you let that thing run. I got that thing on free spool. You know, even if you're on a bridge or a pier, you want it on free spool. If you don't have free spool, then have the bails open and watch the line. And you let that thing run and take it line, and then you set the drag. And then you start the battle of your life right there. And another really cool thing is about the harbor, other than they'll take pretty much just any bait. You know, I've had charter boat captains say that they'll just take any kind of dead fish. You know, I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not gonna. He makes a business of catching these tarpons, so you know it probably is true. But another cool thing is the atmosphere. You know, you got all these fishermen out there fishing these fish, and you know it's just like it's like a bunch of guys in a sports bar cheering on their team, man. When I make that fish jump, they're all screaming and hollering. You know, when they make their fish jump, you know, I'm screaming and hollering. You know, it's the same kind of atmosphere. It's just a different game. And it's not called sports fishing for nothing. These fish, you know, they know how to shake the hook. They spit the bait out, as you already seen. You know, you hook on anything, it's pretty much hooked. Anything else is pretty much stays hooked. These fish will throw that hook. You got to bow to it every time it jumps out of the water. You got to choose lighter tackle because they're line shy. You know, my leader is like 50-pound test. You know, that's a light tackle. You know, for 100 or over 100-pound fish. You know, I'm not raising the pole too high. And as for the boat traffic, you know, I really like the boat traffic too, man. I like to, you know, get boated out. I like to see the boats. I like to be out there with them, man. And I also like to dance around my boat. You know, a lot of these kayaks, they have these drive systems where you're always pointed toward the fish. No, I like it fighting the fish from behind me and fighting the fish under the boat like I'm doing right here. And right now it's going behind my boat, and I'm just gonna spin around my boat here, and I'm gonna be fighting him on the other side of the boat pretty soon.
Oh, it's feeding time.
Bam. He's gonna jump right here.
It is feeding time. Woo! Yeah, baby.
I love it. Shit's intense, man. And if you're going to be going out here on a kayak, you know, you need to make it out there, you know, under 10 miles per hour wind. The current is pretty heavy, and the waves are at the worst place. You know, they're at the highest point is in this area, in Florida Keys. So you got current, you got waves, you got boats. So under 10 miles per hour wind. You know, I went out there. I got a couple more videos I'm going to put up. And I'm going to go out there again, looks like this weekend, these couple of days off. And I'm going to be hooking up on these tarpon because that's where it's at. This is what Key West is about.
Tangled up with my line.
This is what Key West is about right here. And on this particular day, I caught it like a calm before the storm. You know, there was like a 3-hour window between like 9 and 11 where there was like a storm advisory. And a storm did indeed come. It was a pretty rough storm too. It was pushing like 30 miles per hour wind. So I was keeping a good eye on the horizon there, and not this horizon, the other side of the boat, right there. And you know, looking for the lightning because I'm at the westward point of Key West here, and that's the direction the wind is going. And I get caught up in the storm. There's no fighting against it. and you just basically blown out to sea. There's no land westward of Key West. Well, there is, but it's, you know, pretty far out there. Okay, so you see that flicker of light, you pull in. Those other guys pulled in too. They were kind of worried about me. They were asking, "You gonna be all right, man?" You know, some people say it's gutsy what I do, and you know, some people, it might just be stupid. I don't know, but I'm gonna do it because I love doing it. And when I actually got back to shore, it was a rough freaking storm. I couldn't even keep the kayak on top of my car. You know, it was literally lifting the top of the boat off of my car when I was trying to strap it down. And this tarpon here, he actually breaks off the structure, you know, over there next to the rocks. You know, it frayed up all the line. But I got a good aerial jump. It was a lot of fun. The storm was cool too, you know, on land. I don't like to be caught in the middle of the ocean, but on land I do like storms, I do like hurricanes. So long as they're not like, you know, Cat 4 or something, I do like the hurricanes. And yeah, man, I can't wait to be on these fish again. I'm going to be on them the next couple of days here. You know, this is me paddling back. I took some video footage of the oncoming storm, and there it is. I saw that and I said, man, it's time to go. I got home safely.